Okay, so I want to start this episode by telling you a little anecdote about when I first settled into campus. I remember I was at the stationery store and I had got some random senior. I had asked them, how many books should I buy? How long does a book, like, on average last for you? How do you take notes? How do you organize everything? And what they told me was quite interesting because after 4 years I have quite a few thoughts on it. They told me that, or he told me that he never used to take notes. He used to attend every class and he promised himself that he would pay absolute attention to what they were saying, and at the end of it he was really focusing on breaking it down into things which he could remember or apply to his own life. So here's what broadly worked for me and how I implemented what he said. Personally, I did take notes. The reason I did that was because either they were directly relevant to either an exam or something to keep in mind, something to understand about breaking down that domain of knowledge I was exploring, or it would be something that might be useful in the future. For example, oh, all right, this is how you build your skill set in, say, like social media. And that's not something I was doing like 3 years ago. So what I felt was that knowledge management is absolutely essential. It's for all the things you can't apply right now. It's for all the things that will make you in the future. And I usually found that applied to four things in terms of note taking. One, it would apply to my exams, anything directly relevant to, say, midterm, end term. It applies to life skills, anything I've learned that I want to remember, slash pick up, or something I can use as a model in the future. It applies to resources, anything career development wise, like professional networks, that style, noting that down. And it helps me keep track of like my tasks and all. The beauty is there is one application that handles all of this. Today I'm just going to show you how I use it to study particularly, but in case you want to hear about like everything else I use this for, do drop it down in the comments. I'll take it up in another video in case you guys are interested. So the application I like to use is called Notion. Notion for me is this all-in-one space where I can put all my writings, all my Zoom links, all the shared Google Docs or slides people are presenting. I get to put it all in one place. So I'm going to show you what I did for research, or at least like when I was taking sociology and anthropology. One of the things I used this for was my development end term. I remember I was doing a lot of research. I was reviewing a lot of articles, a lot of things, and I needed to keep track. So what I did was I kept track of what I was doing. I think all of these were hyperlinked to what I was working on. Another thing is at the end I used to keep my author list right here, so that way I could it just made like creating a bibliography that much easier, and index citations. So this is where I got to order my arguments, so I could put this wherever I felt was necessary, or I could change it up however I liked. I just felt it was a lot more versatile than, say, using the table function in like Google Docs or anything like that. Another thing I really liked about this was I got to add photos, I got to add, whatever text, whatever analysis I had, I got to customize it as I wanted. This is one reason why I like Notion. Another thing is, like, for what I'm doing right now is tasks. This is another way which I keep track. One part is like important upcoming, say, deadlines. I keep it right here. And like in this important section here, I put all the things that aren't like this study related, but non-course related. Anything perhaps related to myself, for example, extra readings or things I'm looking into. And whatever I'm working on, I can easily drag and drop like so. Another thing I really liked was this sticky note. Someone once told me that like she has a sticky note with just three things, the top three things she wants to focus on that month. So if you have to evaluate when you're doing something, whether it's worth doing, you look at the three things you have for that month. If it's not directly relevant to even one of those three, then just knock it out. So I recognize this doesn't work for everyone. I mean, I myself used to be a huge handwriter up till my third year. That's when I first heard of Notion. Way back when I used to take normal notes, say for exams, and when I had like, say, projects, so if I had to take note of upcoming deadlines, or if I had to just work, so I took an entire wad of A4, I cut it into A5, like basically in half, and I used to stick those up in my room or wherever my workspace was. Or I would really double down on sticky notes or anything I could keep in front of me to visualize and put a lot of information in front of me. But as a result, like, I accumulated around 60 papers by the end of one semester, and it's at that point where I realized I needed something better. That's why I shifted digital. This is all of what I mentioned is something Notion can do. The second thing I did was I used a hybrid of offline and online. So I saved everything to Google Drive so that way it was all accessible. And every time I got a new subject or whatever, I would open it up, anything for that semester. I would save all my readings, all of my syllabi, everything here. So it was all in one convenient location. And I never lost track of anything I did as a result. Then I get a lot of questions about, all right, what do I do inside a classroom? The only thing I would say about paying attention in class is I had to keep my video on. Literally, there was a course in which I had weekly quizzes for all the content covered in the previous week. And in that, I could tell every time I'd switched my camera off, and every time I said, yeah, I'm going to focus, I tried, I failed. And you could literally see a 10% grade drop on every single quiz. Luckily, that professor did best of a couple, so I got to knock off the worst two. But genuinely, I felt like no matter what I did in terms of trying to stay active in that class, it all, for me at least, it started with switching on my video. There are no two ways around that. So the last question I usually get is, if I were to redo my 4 years, what were a few things I would do differently? One handy tool I really wish I had 4 years ago was I have recently downloaded this Chrome extension called Video Speed Controls. It's basically this one thing that allows me to speed up, say, YouTube, Coursera, whatever, or even previous Zoom recordings up to maybe 2x, 3x, 4x, whatever your brain can handle. I found that was wonderful in terms of saving my time. The second thing was, after 4 years, I found out that the energy I started my day with and ended with was actually different. I would gradually find myself feeling more tired, and I found that I felt less inclined to start a creative endeavor around 7 p.m. And I used to find my best, or at least for me, my best energies were in the morning. As a result, what I did was I planned all of my heavy weight, heavy lifting sort of programs for the morning half of my day, and in the evening I would do all my chores. I would do all my basically any menial tasks, anything fairly simple that I have great control over. So my advice to you in this respect would be, figure out when you have your best energies. Try and make sure you don't break it up in terms of, all right, I'll do chores during my best energies, because that's just going to be a waste of your time. And the last thing I would just alert everyone of, or at least just inform you of, is that in my case, I found at least 2 of my days were going into these infinity loop apps, which is basically Instagram and YouTube for me. I found I was endlessly scrolling through it. I wasn't really getting anything out of it. And by the end of it, I just found that in case I was scared, in case I was procrastinating anything, I would end up on Instagram and YouTube. So what I did for myself was I tried to put honest limits on them, so that way I was more cognizant of my time. So whatever I watch on YouTube, I actually ended up savoring it a little more than I would usually. And that worked out in my favor. So yeah, this is how I like to study. Also, if you feel even one piece of this video could benefit someone else, please do go ahead and share it with them, because the entire point of this is to uplift our community. And stay tuned for the next video. It'll be coming out sometime in the next week. Yeah. Bye.